Hey friends, welcome back to the Godspeed garage. Actually, we're not in the garage, we're underneath my 1958 Chevy pickup because on today's episode, we're making our own exhaust cutouts. I measured the distance from the end of the header to where the cross member for the transmission is, and I think I have about 10 inches or so to play with. It's kind of weird on the square body Chevy pickups. The cross member has the passenger side is designed for the exhaust tubes to go underneath it, where the driver's side is actually down so the exhaust tube goes over the top of it. So what I need to do first is take my 3-inch exhaust tube, and after I cut the pipe to 10 inches, put these flange connectors on there and attach it to the header so I can get the right angle, because I'm using the long tube headers and it seems like they angle down a bit, and I want my exhaust to be tucked up as tight as possible. So I'm going to have to probably angle this just, a little bit from the header so that it levels it out. So now the next step is I'm going to cut this section off here so that I can weld the flange on at that angle. And when you weld these on, you want to leave a little bit of a gap here on the inside for good penetration, because if you need to grind that down at all, then if it's flat and you weld it, you're going to grind all your weld off. So I like to leave a little bit of a gap, just enough to get both pieces welded together with good penetration. One other thing that I'm going to do is, since I marked the bottom, when I weld these to it and you try to bolt it up to your vehicle, it's kind of hard to get around to the top. There's not a lot of space up there. So I'm going to weld one of the holes on the bottom. That way I have holes on either side and it's easier to access that way.
So what do you think about this rock and roll thing? Think about your future, son, and what's that supposed to mean? It's alright, Mom, I'm mad at you. Mad at you. My mom's gonna do what her mom's gonna do. But you should know we won't stop until we're too old to rock. We'll slow it down until we're 6 feet underground. If it's too loud, then you're too old. If it don't rock, don't let it roll.
Alright, it's all TIG welded together, and now I'll just grind it smooth and it'll be good to go. I may or may not weld the backside. I don't think I will, because those bolt holes are pretty close to the pipe. So I think if I TIG weld it, it might be a bit overkill. I think that's good enough. I got it sealed pretty well on the inside. So one down, one to go. When you're welding on the flange that's going away from the motor on the other side of the cutouts, you want to make sure that you position it in a way where you can access the bolts when the cutout tube is coming out at an angle. You don't want that bolt hole to be in between the cutout tube and the horizontal tube, because it'll be hard to access the bolts. So I kind of cocked it a little bit to the side so that the bolts would not be anywhere in between the two pipes. So you got to be able to get to those bolts to take them on and off. It'd be a pain if you weld all this together and then you can't put any bolts through there. So once those are all welded on, then the next thing to do is we're going to start working on the cutout pipe. And before we do that, though, we need to make the plate that's going to block it when you want to run your mufflers. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace this and basically just make a solid plate instead of one with a hole in it, obviously, because that's going to block it off like that. I was searching through my scrap and I found the 1/4-inch stuff that I made, if you saw the hinge pin puller episode. But the problem is, it's not wide enough, as you can see. But what I can do is maybe put 2 of these together and weld it so that it's wide enough, and then trace it and cut it out. That way I don't have to go to go buy some more from the steel store. Alrighty, so I got 1 solid plate here. Now it's time to trace these and start cutting. Now that you got your plates all cut out and sanded down and drilled, now it's time to do your actual cutout parts. The part that will come out the side here. Now this requires cutting into the horizontal tube and doing some sort of a tube notch to make the pipe close enough to this to where you can TIG weld it. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can buy a tube notcher. I don't have one, so I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned on how to do this without a tube notcher. We're going to use good old-fashioned cardboard and make a template using the cardboard to cut our pipe with. So I'll probably do a 10-inch section, although this tube coming out is not going to be 10 inches. Obviously, it's going to be shorter than that, but I'm just going to do a 10-inch section anyway. It's better to go longer than shorter. But you need to know, in order to actually make the tube with the cardboard, you got to know what the circumference is. And it's been a while since I had math class. I think it's 3 inches diameter times pi r squared, right? But I don't know. So the better way, the easier way, maybe not the better way, but the way I'm going to do it is just to get a shop towel and go around like so, and then just take your Sharpie and mark it where the shop towels overlap. Boom, right there. And then all you got to do is measure that length from the edge to your mark, and there's your circumference. You can always cut this and make adjustments too. That looks like about 9 inches or so. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer than 9 inches, maybe 9 1/8. And we're going to, let's see, mark out, what did I say, 9 1/8, 10 inch by 9 1/8 inch square. So, okay, so now you got your square cut out. Now we can form it around the tube and tape it up, and then we'll do some trimming for your tube notch pattern. Oops. Okay, so now you can see that fits pretty close to your 3-inch pipe here. Okay, so now this will be your template. So what you do is we're going to trim it away until it fits on there the way we want it to fit on there. And then once you got it to where it's exactly the shape and everything you want, then all you do is you take it over to your pipe that you're going to use to weld to that, and slide it over your pipe, and then just trace and then cut, and boom, instant tube notch. Okay, so now I got this all cut out, and I did a little bit more trimming on it, as you can see. And after doing more trimming, you can see it fits a lot more flush, and you can get it pretty close. If you look down the inside, there's still some gaps. You can see the light in there. What you want to do when you weld it now is tack a couple places and sort of hammer it down and work it around, especially these spots that are pretty far away, which are only on these corners here, and you'll get a pretty tight fit. Now the next step is to put this on the truck, and then you want it to put this where you want it, because since this exhaust is right next to the frame, you don't want this sticking out, to the side, because then the frame might hit it right here. So you want to put it on your vehicle so you can position this so it's out of the way of your frame. That way you can have access to the bolts, and everything will be hunky-dory, and you won't be hating yourself later on. We got these all traced out for the cutout portion. It actually goes this way. And now what we're going to do is cut the hole. And since this is about 1/16 of an inch thick, what I'm going to do is basically go 1/8 inch inside of this line so that this still has a surface to sit on, and it won't burn through when you weld it.
So what do you think about this rock and roll thing? Think about your future son, now what's that supposed to mean? It's alright mom, I'm mad at you. Our mom's gonna do what her mom's gonna do. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. If it's too loud, then you're too wrong. If it don't right, don't let it roll. We won't stop until we're too old to rock. We'll slow it down until we're 6 feet underground. If it's too loud, then you're too old.
All right, there we go. Custom cutouts. And it's all TIG welded together and ready to go on my truck. Exactly how I want it to fit. So, not too hard to build. I mean, you just gotta take your time and do the right measurements, and it is pretty labor intensive, but it was fun to make, and it's gonna be custom exactly where I want it to go on my truck. Next step is to put them on my truck and see how they run. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that stuff.
Until we're too old to rock. We'll slow it down until we're 6